Hey guys, Justin Watcher here. It is now Sunday morning. I just slept about like 10 hours, which I have not slept that long in forever. But hey, after what, midnight it got done last night, WrestleMania night one. We're here. We're kicking in the morning. So I am obviously ready. You can see I got on custom made here. So ProSportsExtra.com has all the coverage, everything you need to know about WrestleMania. Night one was last night. I already did a review about it. I did it on the YouTube. I already wrote about it, everything like that. So if you're looking for it, ProSportsExtra.com. But I'm going to ramble on about night two now. So night two is going to be a little bit more interesting because I thought night one probably had, more predictable outcomes. You kind of knew where things were headed a little bit. There were still a couple surprises here and there, but nothing major, and everything kind of went as you would expect. And it ended up being actually very good, as we saw Bianca Belair kind of ended the night on a high note with an absolutely epic main event, history making, everything like that. Just a great moment, all around great moment for her to end the night. So here we are now on night two, Sunday later on, Peacock, WWE Network. So I don't know the order of the matches. I'm assuming we know what the main event is, but unlike yesterday where they kind of laid out the matches for us in the order, we don't know tonight. So I'm just going to read it off here and see this is how it's going to go. So first up, it says Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. You would think Rhea Ripley would really honestly deserve this win after last year. She kind of got screwed over by Charlotte in that match. I'm not saying personally by Charlotte, but you know what I mean. She ended up losing the match. She should have won last year. And then you can even go back a couple years ago where Asuka probably should have beat Charlotte also at WrestleMania 34. So now these two are facing each other while Charlotte is, I guess, still on the sideline, which is still a little bit weird. But we'll see what's all planned for Sunday night. Maybe she is out there somewhere and she'll come in and do something. But until then, it is Asuka and Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. It seems like this has to be Rhea Ripley, but are they going to switch both titles? Bianca Belair won last night, and then, is Rhea Ripley now going to come in and they're going to say the same story? The newcomer beat the veteran. I don't know, but I would think Rhea Ripley has to win. But at the same time, Asuka's also kind of been ignored for the past couple months, and she deserves the win too. So I'm actually okay with either win here. But if you're asking who I'm rooting for, it's Rhea Ripley, especially after last year. The Fiend versus Randy Orton, I'm sure Alexa Bliss will get involved with this. This has been building for what, 3, 4 months. We've seen, burning and fire and all this different stuff be used. But if Fiend is going to come back and be this, whatever he's going to be, he's probably got to win here. Randy Orton will be fine. He doesn't need any more wins in his career. Honestly, he could lose the rest of his matches, the rest of his entire career, and be fine. So I got to assume Fiend will win. I don't know if this is a normal match or they're going to do something cinematic. There is a crowd, obviously, again. Crowds are back. So you have to figure it'll be in front of a live audience, but you never know how it's going to be. So I'm going to go with the Fiend, and he kind of has to win here. Up next, Big E is defending his Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews. This is some sort of drum match. I'm guessing it just means no holds barred street fight, no rules, whatever it means. Apollo's lost about a million times to Big E over the past couple weeks, and you got to figure with his heel turn, he's got to get the win here. It sucks for the New Day fans because New Day also lost their Raw Tag Team titles last night, and now Big E could lose his Intercontinental Championship over on the SmackDown side of things. But I don't care. Apollo needs this. If he loses this, it is not good news for his future. So, I'm all for Apollo being the new Intercontinental Champion. That would be fine by me. So, up next, I've talked about it before, but Logan Paul is getting involved in this Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn feud. No idea who Logan Paul is and don't really care. Doesn't matter to me, but you know what? Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn deserve a WrestleMania match one on one. They should have had it 5 years ago, and they've had a couple pay per view matches also against each other. But they deserve in their history book of their long rivalry, the long tag team, their long everything. They deserve to have a WrestleMania match one on one. So it's Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. It seems to be leading to Logan Paul turning on Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn is so delusional. He thinks he has him in his back pocket, but if we're looking for a swerve of the night, this would be it, where Logan Paul actually is with Sami Zayn all along, and he screws over Kevin Owens. But personally, I hope not. I hope Kevin Owens gets this win. He got a big win last year over Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and Sami Zayn, honestly, he doesn't need really wins either for his character. I know people kind of keep waiting for him to start winning, but that's not his role. Honestly, that's not what he's here to do. So up next for the U.S. Championship, Riddle versus Sheamus. This kind of feels thrown together. I'm gonna go with Riddle retaining. You know, Sheamus feels like he does deserve something. He got screwed over as well. I thought him and Drew McIntyre were telling a story to build to WrestleMania, and Sheamus kind of got just thrown on the back burner big time when Miz kind of entered the picture a few months ago, and then obviously Lashley kind of burst onto the scene out of nowhere, and Sheamus was kind of left hanging. So if anyone's gotten screwed in this entire WrestleMania build, I would say Asuka, obviously for sure. But then also Sheamus, he kind of got screwed here. So if they are looking to reward him with the U.S. Championship or something like that, that would be awesome. But I am going to pick Riddle, not really, caring one way or the other where it goes. Up next for the Raw, not the Raw, not the SmackDown, the WWE Women's Championships, the tag team ones. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are defending against Natalya and Tamina. Natalya and Tamina won last night on night one. They won the big turmoil match that honestly I did not think was very good and will be memorable for a few different other reasons. But either way, it's building to this. I would assume Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are going to retain, but you know what? They got Tamina and Natalia. Otherwise, why would they have won last night? Just to what? Show up here and lose just to get two paychecks? Is that the whole deal? Tamina and Natalia wanted two paydays? I mean, smart for them, I guess, if that was the little ploy here. But them as tag team champs and traveling around all brands, that doesn't seem to make sense. I don't really care for Tamina too much, and Natalia. It's kind of been there, done that over the past 10 or 15 years. So don't really care either way about that one. So I would just say have Shayna and Nia retain. They seem to do at least all right with the titles. So I don't know about that one, but either way, we're building to the main event. This is what it's all about. It's for the Universal Championship. Tribal Chief Roman Reigns is defending in a triple threat match against Edge and Daniel Bryan. The build has been a little iffy, but you know what? I wrote about it 2 weeks ago. Got mocked for it, got laughed at for it, but Edge needed the heel turn, and guess what ended up happening not even a week later? He turned heel. So there you go. They said it right. He shouldn't have won the Rumble. The whole Rumble thing with Edge is honestly, I don't want to look back on it. It didn't make sense from the beginning. It was kind of thrown out there. Nobody was clamoring for it. It was nothing that anybody was building up. But we ended up getting it. The chemistry wasn't there. So what do? They turn him heel. And for a face now, we need somebody to cheer for in the match. They throw in Daniel Bryan, who you can never go wrong with. So now we're left with the triple threat. They finally did get it right. It took a while, but WWE got it right. Night two, probably going to main event with this. I could see all three winning. Honestly, if they want to send the crowd home happy on an epic two-night mania, you're obviously going to go with Daniel Bryan. And then if you want to go and keep leading on with Roman Reigns as champion, which honestly he could hold the title for another 6 months or a year, if we're being honest here. He could retain, but then you're sending the crowd home really probably not so happy. But you know what? Maybe they would cheer him. You never know. But ultimately, I do think the plan all along, the history, the 10-year anniversary of his retirement to his comeback, it's been building with Edge. That's the whole story that they tried to tell back in January is Edge coming back to win the title. He never lost. So it's poetic justice. It's all these things. Whether it's a face or a heel, it doesn't matter. This whole thing's been about Edge winning the title back. So I think Daniel Bryan is in there to take the pinfall. I don't know if anyone's actually going to defeat Roman Reigns. I mean, he's been fairly protected the past year or so. So I don't think he's going to get beat actually, but Daniel Bryan can take the pinfall, and then they can kind of branch out from there. Somebody can feud with somebody, they can feud with them, they can, with the triple threat, you have options after the match. So I do think it's been building for Edge, unless again there's been a change in plans or something's been flipped, which obviously it has been. But I think ultimately though they will stick to what the original idea was Edge coming back to win the title. He never lost. Not that I'm exactly happy with that outcome, but if that's what they've been building up, I think they will then just stick with that and then go from there and see where things are. So that's night one. That's tonight. WrestleMania night two. Fans are back in the crowd. We already know about that from night one. And again, prosportsextra.com. Everything's there for you. So until then, enjoy the show tonight.